God, I'm a total. I didn't even try. I'm actually, oh my God, finally, I need water. I can't believe I made it that long, quite frankly. I'm going to pick this one. And I'm going to sip those. This is Daniel in the 40-story crossing. This was my second trip. And I was coming across Texas. And I don't know if you've ever driven through that panhandle part of Texas, but there ain't nothing there. It's nothing but like 400-acre ranches. You don't even see an animal, man. There's nothing. So I come across this alleged town, Shamrock. I didn't see anything of the town except for a giant mechanics station in the Best Western, and I'm sure both were very, very busy. That was the only trip that I ever stayed in hotels, and I only did it twice. So I have my stay, and the next morning as I'm checking out, again, I have a system, a pattern when I'm out on the road. One of the things to do is to look for work that I do, tarot readings, Reiki, something spiritual, something mystical. So I asked the young lady at the reception desk, and her answer was, the only thing I can think of, if you drive 40 miles west on Route 40, there's like a 40-story cross. I just kind of acknowledged it. What you need to know is at the time, I was kind of taking a hiatus from Christianity. Not because I had a problem with Christianity per se, I just needed to kind of step back. I wasn't happy with I don't know, things, and I was dealing and I was processing. And personally, and I'll always admit this, I'm not a big fan of the cross as a symbol of Jesus. It just bothers me, and that's a personal thing. So it baffles me that I'm being told to go to a cross. No lie, I didn't get out of the hotel. I was in the little vestibule, and my head went up, and I was like, "You're sending me where?" I went. I went because I knew I had to go, and I'll tell you how I knew I had to go. It was the number 40. In the Bible, 40 is very significant. 40 years in the desert, 40 days of rain. And this woman gave it to me in triplicate. 40 miles west on Route 40, there's a 40-story cross. I was like, I can't. I was playing the game, and I couldn't argue that, so I went. But I'll tell you what, I bitched and moaned for 40 miles. I sure as shit did. I cannot believe this is where you're sending me. Why are you sending me here? What the hell? And you can see it as you're approaching. You can see it way off in the distance, the big white cross. And I'll be honest with you, up close, the cross itself was a little tacky. But around the cross, they were putting in this display of bronze statues of the 12 stations of the cross. And I don't know if you know what this is. I didn't at the time, but it's apparently points in the journey to the cross that we find as Christians significant. So they go around. They weren't all in yet. And they come up, they form this like semicircle, and it goes up this stone staircase to 3 bronze statues of the crucifixion, Jesus and the 2 thieves. And I'm looking at it, and again, I'm not an overly educated man. I look above Jesus' head. There's a little plaque that says I-N-R-I, and this baffled me. The only thing I knew about those 4 letters together was that it was a Jewish blessing, and this made no sense. The Romans were trying to make an example out of this man. Why did they put a Hebrew blessing above his head? And then I thought, well, maybe it's something they did for the display. So now I look down, and I see this gentleman, groundskeeper, working in a flower bed. And he looks like a Texan, honestly, like everything's denim. Denim jeans, denim vest. His shirt wasn't denim, but it looked like it. And I'm pretty sure even his hat was denim, and he had this dark beard, dark hair. I went over and I explained, I don't really know much, and I asked about the sign. He said, yes, they did put it up there. They put it up there as mockery. And I told him who I was and what I was doing, and that I was on this trip. And then he told me his story. His name was Daniel. I still get chills. He starts his story with, I lost my family. And you could tell, without any other words, this was not a matter of they got up and left. They were gone. And he explains to me that he had met this woman online, incidentally, again, time frame, the only online was America. that's where we are in time. So he had met this woman in Florida. He was from, again, Washington, Oregon, the duo up there. I can never keep them straight. And he was now working his way from there to Florida to meet this woman. When he was done speaking, I said, Daniel, and I reached out to touch his shoulder, and I started to get down, and that's as far as I'm going to go because I am getting old and it's a little harder these days. That is the last thing I remember. Touching his shoulder. After that, it's all gone until suddenly the pastor who's running the facility is coming up to us, and he gave me a little bit of a squeamish vibe, so I decided it was time for me to go. So I started back to my car, and I was going across the parking lot, and all of a sudden I hear, "Freedom!" I did go by Freedom on that trip. And I turn around, and here comes Daniel running down the hill, and he gets up to me, and again, to give you a visual, I want you to think of like the 1980s littering commercial with the Native American and the one tear coming down his face, because that's what he was doing. He gets up to me, and he's got one single tear coming down his cheek, and he says, "I need to thank you. I prayed this morning, and you just brought me every answer. I don't even know what I said." So why was I being sent to a 40-story cross? Because some force in the universe knew it could use me to tell that man whatever he